Thank you everyone for clicking on this Heroes Film Club. Today I'm going to be giving you guys a top 10 list of horror films to watch during this Halloween spooky season. This is my personal list that I put together of old school films, newer school films, films that came out this year, and also films that came out in the last 10 years. A little bit of everything. This is just a personal list. When people ask me, Carlos, what should I watch for Halloween? This is the video I would give to them, and the list of movies that I would give to people for them to watch on Halloween. But before we get started, guys, don't forget the like to subscribe button, turn on your notifications so you guys do not miss a beat on any of the movie news. All right, guys, the very first movie on my list is going to be Talk to Me, released in 2022. This is a film, an Australian film, a supernatural horror film directed by Daniel Philippou in the directorial debut. And it follows a group of teenagers discovering that they can contact spirits using a mysterious severed embalmed hand. And this hand, pretty much you talk to it gets you high for like a few minutes, and then you can talk to spirits. But the twist of it gets you very high, very euphoric high kind of feeling. So all this pretty much has all these kids, ditching school, having parties, and instead of getting high with regular drugs, they use this. But they talk to all the spirits, and these spirits start to haunt them. We have a lot of gruesome scenes in this film. This movie was also shot beautifully. These guys are very, very good in what they do. They've also done another couple. This was their directorial debut, but they've also done another film that I'll be talking about later. But these guys are awesome. These two brothers, they actually started off on YouTube, but this is a much-watched film. The premise is awesome, guys. It also leaves it open for a second part, but this is a highly recommended horror film for you guys to watch on this Halloween spooky season. All right, guys, one of my favorite all-time scary movies of all time. I'm going to recommend this on my top 10 list, even though if you guys have heard it in every other YouTube channel, but The Shining, the 1980s Jack Nicholson Shining, directed by Stanley Kubrick. This is a staple of horror films and how movies should be made. This follows Jack Torrance, becomes a winter caretaker at the isolated Overlook Hotel in Colorado. Hoping to cure his writer's block, he settles along with his wife Wendy and his son Danny, who is plagued by physic premonitions as Jack's writing goes nowhere and Danny's visions become more disturbing. Jack discovers the hotel's dark secrets and begins to unravel into a homicidal maniac hell-bent and terrorizing his own family. Yeah, this film is one of those films that has a lot of iconic moments. The "Here Comes Johnny" moment, the kid going down the hallway in his tricycle, the blood coming out the elevators, the twins. Everything about this film is a pop culture icon, and it is a great film. It's shot beautifully. The script is a beautiful script, and it does give you a psychological horror to it, that this guy goes crazy because he has writer's block. He cannot write no more. He is caretaking in this isolated hotel in the winter where no one can pretty much stay there besides them. They cannot leave, enter, they have food, they have a place to stay. Of course, a big hotel. But this is a must-watch film for Halloween horror. And if you guys have not watched this during the spooky season, just do yourself a favor and watch this if you're a cinemaphile. All right, guys, I'm going to talk to you about one of my favorite films this year. This might be on my top 5, top 10 list. Weapons is a supernatural mystery horror film. 17 children from a single third grade class suddenly run away from their homes exactly at 2:17 a.m. and disappear. Only one student from that class remains. Their teacher, Justine Gandy, is placed on a leave and amid suspicion towards her that she is responsible for the disappearance. This movie is great. It does have a good amount of jump scare moments, but it's the eeriness and the way that they shoot the film, which is pretty good. They also do have a lot of shots where they're zooming in, zooming out on dark doors, open doors, and that gets very, very, very spooky, especially during this Halloween spooky season. But one of my favorite things about the film is how they tell the story from different point of views of character, and they're all intertwined together. Josh Brolin's in it. It's a stacked cast. Julia Gardner's in it. She's our Silver Surfer right now. But this is a great film. All these kids disappear, and the ending of it is pretty epic. The last 20 minutes are pretty good. It's a slow burner film, but it is a film that is beautifully shot, Great soundtrack, great acting. The script is pretty awesome, and it's a very different way of telling a scary story. If you guys have not seen this, please guys do yourself a favor and watch Weapons. All right, this is a must-watch horror film. Conjuring, this is a film that paved the way for Annabelle, The Nun, all the spin-offs for the Conjuring franchise, and they made a lot of money too as well. But the scary part about this film that that does get people very spooked is that, it's based off a true story as well. So I'm going to give you guys a premise of The Conjuring 2013. This film came out in 2013, directed by James Wan. He's a phenomenal director based on real life account from paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. The 2013 horror film The Conjuring follows the Parent family as they're terrorized by demonic presence after moving into a new farmhouse. Yeah, guys, this film right here that is very eerie because this is actually based on true events. Ed and Lorraine Warren are actual, ghost hunters from, I think they're based off the 30s. I might be incorrect about that. It might be a little bit later. I think I got the date incorrect, but they paved the way for a lot of ghost hunters. A lot of people till this day, if you go on YouTube, you see a lot of famous ghost hunters that go catch ghosts. They reference Ed and Lorraine because they paved the way for a lot of those people. They win more. I don't want to say viral because I think back in the day you didn't go viral, but they win nationwide public. You would see them in the news, but they paved the way for a lot of paranormal investigators out now, and and they've had a lot of crazy encounters with demonic possessions. They go to people's houses, because they have trouble because they're being tormented day and night, every day, and they can't turn anyone to go to, and they go to Ed and Lorraine Warren. If you guys not seen The Conjuring, do yourselves a favor and watch The Conjuring if it's not on spooky season. All right, guys, I'm gonna give you guys an old-time classic, Psycho. If you guys have seen Psycho, not sure what you guys are doing. Just kidding, but you guys definitely have to see Psycho, based off somewhat of the Ed Gein story that we've all been, talking about because of monsters that came out on Netflix. But Psycho is a all-time classic, just film in general, not just horror film in general. This came out in 1960. It's a horror film about his secretary, Marion Crane, who steals money and stops at the isolated Bates Motel where she is murdered by the owner, Norman Bates. As her sister and boyfriend search for her, and they uncover the disturbing truth about Norman and his controlling deceased mother, a revelation that leads to a psychiatrist explaining Norman's split personality. The film is famous for its suspense, plot twist, the iconic shower scene. That is an iconic shower scene that, no one wanted to take a shower after, and its groundbreaking impact on the horror genre. This film right here, guys, it did pave the way for a lot of horror films in general, especially this coming out in the 1960s. The iconic shower scene had me not wanting to shower, with the shower curtain closed. I remember, I think I watched this movie when I was 10, maybe 9, and I did not want the shower closed, the shower curtain closed. I wanted it open. It's just that feeling that you get when you're being watched while you're showering. It's just crazy. I don't know. This film, I think the actress had to go to therapy after because it just played a toll on her mind and body. But this is a must-see film. All right, guys, and my favorite clown movie of all time, it's 2017. We're gonna be talking about 2017. And this film is pretty much about It the Clown, the pop culture phenom. Kids dress up for It. I don't even have to explain to you who this guy is, but you guys must see the 2017 It movie. It's the first part of the story about a group of outcast children in Derry, Maine, who band together to find evil shape-shifting entity that awakens every 27 years. The story is set in 1988, beginning with the disappearance of a young boy named Georgie after he encounters a monster Pennywise, a dancing clown, and storm drain. His older brother Bill and his friends, dubbed the Losers Clubs, realize that they are being targeted by the same ancient evil who manifests their individual sphere and set out to destroy it in their lairs beneath the town. This is a great film, guys. It's about a shapeshifter. It comes out, every 27 years and torments a city, torment these kids, using their fears against them. And pretty much they have iconic scenes in this film. The Georgie boat scene, iconic. You see everyone's dressing up like that for Halloween. The movie has good jump scares. I like the dynamics between the kids and all the characters, and how they how they get together to try to investigate the Georgie missing, and try to fight this clown. You guys must see It the Clown. This is a must-see horror film for the spooky season. All right, guys, I'm gonna give you guys a really good horror film that came out this year. I would say it's more of a horror drama kind of genre bending film. Sinners, directed by Ryan Coogler, and it's starring Michael B. Jordan and Michael B. Jordan. He plays two characters, and also Haley Steinfeld. Pretty much is directed by, Ryan Coogler. He did Black Panther. Creed is set in 1932 in the Mississippi Delta. The film stars Michael B. Jordan in dual roles as criminal twin brothers who return to the hometown where they are confronted by supernatural evil. Pretty much is the two twins that had left their hometown to do big things, which criminal big things in Chicago. They come back and they want to set up a juke bar. Pretty much the movie sets it up like that. Then they set up this juke bar, and then these vampire entities come to the juke bar and hell raises through. And this kind of gives you a little feeling of Dusk to Dawn a little bit. But this movie is very well written. It makes you feel good too. And it's a beautifully shot film. And it also has a music element to it, which I thought it was very beautiful. And I think this is a must-see movie. If you guys have not seen Sinners, I think they're going to re-release it on IMAX. You should definitely watch it, because I watched it on the big screen, and Michael B. Jordan does a great job playing dual roles of twin brothers, and also Haley Steinfeld does a great job in this. So you must see Sinners. All right, guys, one other pop culture phenomenon, but not just a phenomenon, a great film, is a Halloween film that came out in the 1960s. This film pretty much set the tone for slasher films. This film is almost a perfect film, if I'm being 100% honest. If you put the top 10 movies of all time, I think it's up there. If you actually look it up, it is up there. Halloween paved the way for a lot of other horror slasher films, and it's also a pop culture phenomenon, and it's also a film that people dress up like. People wear, Halloween shirts all the time. Michael Myers is a, well-known character, and, people dress up for him for Halloween. But Halloween, it's a great film. Pretty much it's set in 1963. 6-year-old Michael Myers brutally murdered his 17-year-old sister, Judith. He was sentenced and locked away for 15 years, but on October 30, 1978, while being transferred to a court date, the 21-year-old Michael Myers steals a car and escapes Smith's Groove. And he returns to his quiet hometown of Haddonfield, Illinois, where he looks for his next victim. But pretty much Halloween. Guys, this is a must-see movie. Jamie Lee Curtis. It is built with great suspense. The suspense watching this, I heard people when they watched this in theaters, I had people jumping, I had people locked in, and that's what movie experiences do. Halloween is a must-see horror film. If you guys have not seen it, then you guys are not true horror fans. Just kidding. You guys must see Halloween though. Must see Halloween. All right, guys, and this is probably my number one film if you have not watched it, but one of my favorite horror films that I've watched personally. It's the 2018 Hereditary. It is a American supernatural psychological horror drama film written and directed by Ari Aster. A miniature artist, Annie Graham, lives in northern Utah with her psychiatrist husband Steve and their children, 16-year-old Peter, 13-year-old Charlie. The family attends the funeral of Annie's secretive mother, Ellen, at which Annie is surprised at the number of mourners in attendance. Pretty much how the movie is, they go to a funeral, and after this funeral, you start to find out that the grandma of the funeral, the grandma passed away. She has a lot of people there, which they thought that she was very private. She didn't really have a lot of friends, but you start unraveling the behind the scenes of the grandma. This movie has a lot of iconic and creepy scenes. There's a scene where it involves the 13-year-old Charlie, where she is allergic to peanut butter, and she has a crazy scene. I am not going to spoil it because this is a scene that made my jaw drop. This is a must-see film, because not just because of that scene. It has a lot of these scenes. There's a couple of scenes where you have you just feel very disturbed. It is greatly shot. It's very greatly pace. And I remember when I watched this with my roommate, I had to watch something happy after. I think I put on The Incredibles after, because I felt very unbothered about this film. And this Hereditary might be my personal favorite movie, horror film of all time. And this is a much watch film. All right, guys, another must-see horror film is Bring Her Back, directed by Danny Michael Philippou. This film pretty much follows two orphan step siblings, Andy and Piper, who are placed in the foster care of a woman named Laura after they found their dad dead in the shower. He committed suicide while trying to cope with their new life. They uncovered that Laura is using them in a horrific demonic ritual to resurrect the deceased daughter, involving a boy with a gluttonous spirit for which they must try to escape. The horror film from the directors Talk to Me explores themes of grief, possession, and twisted resurrection ritual. Man, this film is a great film, guys. I really enjoyed watching this film. It has a lot of jump scare moments, a lot of moments that you kind of close your eyes because of how gruesome it is. It is a well-paced film. It keeps you engaged the entire time, and it also doesn't keep you on the edge of your seats or where you're like, well, it doesn't really explain what's going to happen next. This film has a scene with a melon and a knife. I'm not gonna spoil the film, but it had my mouth jaw open while closing somewhat of my eyes because how gruesome it was. But these directors are directors that you guys should watch out for horror films. It came from YouTube, like I mentioned before, Daniel Michael Philippou. But this is a much watched film for the horror genre. All right, guys, that was my list for the horror films that you should be watching during this spooky season. I do feel that, I have a pretty good list. I think these are lists of new films, older films, classic films that are not just straight horror, but a little genre bending too as well, like Weapons and Sinners. But these films are really good films. I recommend you guys to watch any of these. And, this is no particular order of how you should be watching these films on base of how I like them. Any of these films are great films, but these are my top 10 films to watch for this spooky season. If you have any other films, drop them down below and let me know what films you guys like to watch. But that is it for your boy. See those happy holidays. See you guys next time. Peace.